All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are pulling apart one of the most fascinating strategic operations you'll ever see. We are talking about a conflict that's not just about swords and shields. No, this one blends brute force with some incredibly clever asymmetrical warfare. And then it goes a step further, right into metaphysical combat. It's a siege, yeah, but it's a siege where the very rules of reality are on the table.
And you know, I think this quote from one of the characters right in the thick of it is the absolute perfect way to start. It's just so self-aware, right? It perfectly nails that feeling of facing a problem that is so huge, so fundamentally unfair, you kind of just have to step back and admire its audacity. So today, we're going to look under the hood of that obnoxious plot twist.
So this timeline, this right here, is the heart of the problem. It's crushing. Our heroes go off on a mission, right? It takes them maybe a few months, their time, but because of a massive time distortion, 400 years slam by for everyone else. So they don't come back as heroes, they come back as forgotten myths, to a civilization that's been choked by a siege for 300 of those years and is now teetering on the edge of collapse. That is the 400-year problem they have to solve like yesterday.
So, first things first, the Guardians, who now have to act through villager avatars, have to get the lay of the land. They need to figure out what they are actually dealing with here. And this isn't just about winning a battle. It's a desperate rescue mission for an entire culture that's been systematically starved for generations. Okay, so if we look at the intel from their Gemini system, you can see they're organized, but man, are they stretched thin. You've got 50,000 people, a decent little military force, but look at that last row. That's the killer. Their main water source, the Aquarius system, it's void, gone. They are literally surviving on rainwater and whatever moisture they can get from trees. They are one dry spell away from total disaster.
And this number just puts that vulnerability into terrifying perspective. 600,000. That's how many enemy nightmare units are camped outside their door. You compare that to their 15,000 fighters, and you're looking at odds of 40 to 1. That's not a fight, that's an extermination, just waiting for the signal. But it's actually even worse than that.
See, this isn't just some mindless horde. The enemy's strategy is surgical. The army is broken into 3 specialized groups, and each one is designed to attack a different pillar of their survival. You've got Giga-Wraiths hitting them from a distance to control the water. You've got Bloodhounds that literally hunt by sensing fear to lock down the hunting grounds. And then you have Wraiths, which drain positive emotions, basically making the farmlands a place of despair. It's a total psychological and logistical chokehold.
So what do? How on earth do you fight that? A head-on fight is suicide. Well, the answer is to not play their game. You use asymmetrical warfare. The source material calls it the strategy of the mole. And it's simple, really. If you can't go through them, you go under them.
And it's brilliant. This is the core of their counterattack. The nightmares are creatures of darkness, right? They're basically useless in the sun. So the villagers dig. By day, they build this massive network of tunnels right under the enemy's noses. By night, they just watch, wait, and learn. And that final step? That's the masterstroke. They connect the whole system to the sea, getting ready to literally rupture the battlefield and turn the ground itself into a weapon.
Okay, so let's get into the execution, because this is where the plan really comes to life. This first phase is an absolute masterclass in using psychology, tactics, and the environment to just dismantle a third of that giant army.
I mean, just look at this chart. It tells you everything you need to know. 5,000 archers going up against 200,000 Giga-Wraiths. A victory here should be statistically impossible, which, of course, makes what happens next just so incredible. They win because they refuse to fight a straight-up battle. It all starts with a bit of psyops. The Guardian leader reveals his true legendary name, Sanziri Nightbane, and it causes immediate fear in the enemy ranks. Then they execute these perfectly disciplined formations with these awesome names. They feint, they retreat, they scatter to dodge big attacks using Rattle the Hornet's Nest. Then they regroup to fire back with Defend the Beehive. But the whole thing, it's a performance. It's all designed to do one thing: lure the entire enemy army onto one very specific patch of ground.
And here it is, the payoff. The ground ruptures, it just gives way, and that entire 200,000-strong army of Giga-Wraiths plummets into the tunnels below. At the same exact moment, those tunnels are flooded with seawater that's been infused with phoenix tears, a substance that's instantly lethal to them. In a single decisive moment, a third of the enemy army is just gone. And the archers? 0 casualties. Absolutely perfect strategic victory.
But the war is far from over.
The biggest physical threat is gone, sure, but the wraiths are still out there. And you can't beat them with arrows and tunnels. They're a metaphysical problem, and that means our hero has to unlock an entirely new level of power, something called the Nightmare King's Chariot.
And really, that's the question that changes everything, doesn't it? The conflict completely shifts. This next fight isn't about land. It's about hearts and minds. It's a battle against an enemy that literally uses despair as a weapon.
So to fight this kind of war, our hero has to completely rethink what his powers are. And we get this incredible concept, the living sigil. His abilities aren't just tools anymore. They're sentient beings he can actually talk to. It's like having a personal pantheon of powers, and he has to learn to work with them, not just use them.
And here they are. These are the 9 living sigils, the 9 phantoms that make up the Nightmare King's Chariot. Each one is a different aspect of power. You've got gates, balance, wisdom. This is his metaphysical toolkit. This is what he's going to use to win this impossible war.
And this is the lesson he has to learn, delivered to him by his own powers. Brute force isn't the answer. He has to find balance. This quote just nails it, right? It gets to the very core of his metaphysical journey, realizing that wisdom isn't separate from power. It is power. And understanding that is the key to unlocking everything.
So this brings us to the grand finale. This is where the physical strategy and the metaphysical strategy finally come together. Armed with this new understanding, our hero is finally ready to face that last enemy army and free his people for good.
How amazing is this strategy? To fight an army that feeds on despair, what do? You throw a party, a huge one. And it's not just for morale, it's a weapon. The overwhelming joy and positive energy it creates acts like a cloaking device, actively weakening the wraiths and hiding the villagers while they get ready to escape through those same tunnels.
And this, right here, lays out the final rules of engagement. The enemy's whole deal is the darkness element. It hides them, makes them look like other people, and makes them immune to physical attacks. But the ultimate counter, as the Sigil of Wisdom explains, is the light element. It doesn't just hurt them, it exposes them. It reveals their true nature and makes them vulnerable.
So this is how it all goes down. The wraiths pull their last, cruelest trick. They disguise themselves as the hero's friends and family. But he knows the rules now. He unleashes a solar flare, a massive blast of pure light, and it just shatters the illusion. Once their true, horrifying forms are exposed, he uses another sigil's power to open interdimensional gates and banish all 200,000 of them. Permanently. Game over. Which brings us to our final thought. This whole incredible campaign, this metaphysical siege, it wasn't won just with clever tunnels or powerful magic. It was won with understanding. Understanding the enemy, understanding the battlefield, and most importantly, understanding oneself. It really makes you ask, doesn't it? What happens when your greatest weapon isn't a sword, but just a change in perspective?